What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lamonts G Custom Live Show. I'm your host, Harvey Lamont Ritchie. Oh man, so I have a serious topic to talk about today. Um, that is just unbelievable. But first, before I get into it, let me say this: driving up the mountain, I was listening to Coach Wimp Sanderson, former coach of the University of Alabama men's basketball, and they were talking about all these college kids suing the NCAA to remain in college, 7, 8, 9 years. And it's gotten to the point of just sheer ridiculousness. But he made a statement that I've been talking about for the last 10 years, probably more, but I know for the last 10 years. He was talking about the dynamics of college basketball and basketball, period. You could have the greatest team of all time, and one night you could get beat. It's a tournament game. Basketball, and especially college basketball and high school basketball, they're tournament games. You could be 0 and 26, no, 0 and 24, 25, go into your conference championship and pull off 4, 5, 6 straight games and go to the tournament and do the same thing. It's a tournament game. And the powers that be in collegiate athletics don't understand. Football is not. Football is not a tournament game. I don't know what model these guys researched to think that college football is a tournament game, but they have ruined it. There's clear evidence of it. I can't support it. But I just think it was nice and he did not outright slam college football and say, well, he's, I guess, somewhat to a point. It's not. College football is not a tournament game. It's not a tournament sport, period. So I just wanted to get that out. I thought that was interesting, hearing old school thoughts like myself. Now he's, probably 20, 30 years older than me, but, that's clear old school thinking. And sports was not meant to progress. It was meant to stay the same and improve, but stay the same. Anyway, let me get into this topic, man. So I was on what they call them these days, Zooms, streams, or something, when you have multiple people on the platform. And I honestly can't remember the initial conversation, but it got off into politics. And it was this one individual. His question is, how can politicians make promises and not be held accountable if they don't follow up on those promises? So it went from that question by him to my question: does this guy even know civics? Does this guy even understand government? Does he understand politics? Clearly not, because different people try to explain to him the way politics works, whether it's on a local level, state level, or federal level. And it got me to thinking. Because I just looking at this guy through a computer screen, I couldn't tell if he was 36, 46, 30, 40. I couldn't tell. He just had one of them faces that he had like an old face, but he wasn't old. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But he clearly didn't understand civics. So I'm going to start here. Now, I'm a little bit of a nerd. I understand that. But in elementary school, when you graduate elementary school, if you don't have a clear understanding about your city, your community, your county, your region, your state, what region of the country in, and or your country, there's a problem. If you graduate elementary school and you can at least name half of the presidents, how many we done had? 47. If you can't name at least 24, 23, 24 presidents, it's a problem. If you graduate elementary school and you can't even name 50 states, if you can't even name 50 countries, well, that's a little bit of extreme. If you can't even name 10 to 15 countries, different countries, that's a problem. I'm using this guy as an example, but this guy is just one of millions and millions and millions of people who don't understand basic civics. If you don't understand basic civics, how can you understand the way you live on a daily basis, especially as an adult? This guy could not comprehend the fact, and I think they got off into tax on tips or something like that. And this guy could not understand how that works on a federal level. He could understand how that would affect his job on overtime on the local level. Okay, there are cities in the state of Alabama, I'm pretty sure other places too, that you have to pay an occupational tax. Meaning, if you live in city A but you work in city B charges you to work there. Don't agree with it, but it's fact. I can name two of them just right off hand, right here in my state, Gaston and Birmingham. You have to pay to work in these two cities. So how would that affect him on a city level about his overtime and no tax and overtime? Well, there's a lot of politics that goes into it, but first you need to look at it on your local level, your city level, because if you're working in Birmingham, you paying them just to work there, so therefore your overtime really is not going to mean too much. But how is it taxed? Okay, the president said that they're going to take no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. But I'm getting taxed on overtime. Okay, you ain't getting taxed on overtime by the federal government. You're getting taxed on overtime locally, or your county, or your state. Now, I did hear one female say that you can actually, when you file your federal, that you can actually send that in and you would get reimbursed for that. Now, how that works, I don't know. But all you gotta do is do a little bit of a deep dive. I haven't done a deep dive on it because I don't work on tips or overtime. I work on base salary and bonuses. So, but the point is, when you have somebody who have deep dived into it, and they'll just pull it up on the damn computer, and you explain it to them, and they still don't get it. I don't know where this guy lived or where he's from, but if somebody had pulled up on their computer some basic information about his mayor, his county commission, his governor, he wouldn't have understood it. And this is not a matter of just being dumb, because I'm not calling the guy dumb, more ignorant. But the plain truth is, this should have been somewhat not. He should have had somewhat a minute bit of knowledge just by basic civics. When did they take civics out of school? Now, I had civics both in elementary and junior high. From that point in high school, I think my 10th grade year I took government and government two, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like I said, I was a bit of a nerd. Even though I was a dummy, I was a bit of a nerd when it came to stuff like that. But it irritated me because when you had people that was on the panel or on the Zoom or whatever you call it, the stream, that was giving this guy 100% facts, he can understand it. And it irritated me because his narrative just wouldn't let him understand it. It almost like it just trapped his mind, and it just things went in one ear and went right out the other. He just couldn't. It didn't stay in that. He couldn't comprehend it. But this goes back to basic learning. And listen, math and English is very, very important. Not to get off on a rant or a tangent, I saw an episode of Bonanza last night. Um, it's about this kid. He was doing different experiments, trying to time the speed of light and the speed of sound. He lived in Virginia City from Italian immigrants, and he became the first Nobel Peace Prize winner in America out of the Nevada territory. And I did some research, and yes, that's all facts, all facts. So to sit here and say that math, English, and that type of thing is not important, I'll be telling a flat out lie. And the reason I brought up the Bonanza episode, do we have kids just going out and trying to experiment scientifically with light, with speed of light, speed of sound, or anything like that? No. Those minds, those great minds, are long gone. And the great minds we have of today, like Thomas Sowell, nobody wants to hear the guy. Love Thomas Sowell. Very, very intelligent individual. And so we do still have great minds. A lot of them are gone, a lot of them are old. But we still have their writings, we still have their findings, we still have their words, and that'll live forever. But we don't have any young people willing to go out and do things like that these days. So getting back to the discussion, how important is it for kids to not end up like this guy? Well, I would want to think that 80% of us, as we grow up, as we mature, want to get good jobs, have good careers, and make good money. But if you don't know the basics of civics, you're already off on a bad start. If you don't know basic mathematics, you're off to a bad start. I'm pretty sure this guy had a bit of intelligence. I don't heard him before, and he makes a lot of sense on some things. Even though he's kind of a weird dude, and I mean weird, gets in his feelings, a little feminine. I ain't saying he's feminine. He just gets in his feelings like a feminine individual. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about basic civics, basic learning, English, math. That's highly important. You hear just your normal person talk today, and listen, I'm not perfect. I'm not sitting here saying I'm perfect, but I do know a little bit of the basics. And I know sometimes it sounds like I need some ebonics or something, but no, I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. But I think with the confusion of the world, a lot of people, they don't know what a adjective or adverb or verb is. Now, the world itself is confusing when it comes to pronouns, you know, but they don't know basic pronouns. We, they, them. Anyway, I kind of understand on a micro level because I would talk to my youngest child and my wife sometimes, and it's astonishing. They don't know civics. So when I was mad and upset at this individual, and after I got out of the Zoom, talking to my family on a few things, I got to realizing they don't know civics. They don't know basics. You get up every morning and get in your car, and I'm talking about both my youngest daughter and my wife, and you drive to school, to work, and you don't know how that works. You don't know, excuse me, that if something happens, let's just say an accident, God forbid, or a traffic violation, who has jurisdiction? Do you think Oxford police is going to arrest or going to pull you over in Talladega? No. Two different municipalities, two different counties. They don't know that. They don't understand that. That breaks my heart. My wife has she got her graduate certificate, and that's the next step from being a doctor. And she don't know basic civics. My youngest daughter is applying for scholarships in voice management and choir and vocals. She don't know basic civics. Am I going overboard? Am I thinking about this too much? Am I making too much out of nothing? Because I'm talking about an individual I was on a panel with, and my wife and my daughter. But these are just three individuals out of billions of people. Billions of people. And if 1% are like these three individuals, that's terrible. But is it? Is it terrible for a mayor who wants to cheat and steal, or a governor who wants to cheat and steal because the citizens don't know the basic economics, don't know how government works? They don't know, they're dummies. So I can go steal. Yes, it's terrible. It's terrible. I don't know the solution. I don't know why our schools don't teach civics anymore, because speaking to all my kids, then and before I get to the civics part, this is what pisses me off. When you are, and I think I've talked about this on other podcasts, but when you are in extracurricular activities like football, basketball, baseball, choir, uh, um, robotics, etc., and you put so many hours toward this elective, you letter. That letter is important. It's more than just a little felt letter they give you to put on a Letterman jacket. Nobody wears Letterman jackets anymore. That is a key to say, hey, this individual put this much time towards this activity, and it needs to be addressed on the next level. This needs to be addressed if this individual wants to what this individual's major or concentration may be in college. If you lettered in football, baseball, and basketball, well, when you get to college, you might want to major in certain things. Physical education, something dealing with injuries, on the medical side. That's important. But anyway, I don't want to get off on a tangent on that. I just want to mention that because my wife, who lettered in band, but don't give a damn about it because she didn't even know she lettered. All my kids lettered in either football or band or something, and don't care about it. It's nothing to them. It means nothing when it meant everything to me. But maybe that's just a personal thing. But getting back to the civics thing, and I don't want to repeat myself, and I'm gonna get back to the original conversation about this individual that we was on the Zoom with. Don't know his background. I can only go by what we discussed, but I don't really know if this individual left that Zoom and said, you know what, let me educate myself on A, B, C, and D, because clearly I don't understand it now. That would have been my first reaction. Anything that I don't understand, and I don't care what it is, I try to get into something to get some information, to deep dive, to learn more about it. And I think I said I had a conversation a while back about the Middle Eastern countries, and how you have the Houthis and the Kuthis and the Shiites and these and that. I didn't understand it, and to a degree, I don't understand it now. I just know it's on a religious basis, and I'm still learning. I've talked to a lot of people over many years. I think I told you I went back to my year at Livingston University, where one of my best friends was from Palatine. His father was prime minister or something of Palatine, and they're like different sets. And for a long time, I thought they were like gangs over here, your Bloods and your Crips, and it goes a little bit deeper than that. It goes a little bit deeper than that, and I'm learning. And I just want to use that as an example. If I put my mind to something, and I'm going to learn everything I possibly can about that certain thing. Did this guy walk away from this panel saying, let me deep dive into this, let me learn more about it? If we have another conversation about this, let me be a little bit more intelligent on the subject. But dude, when you get your paycheck, and I hope he sees this, when you get your paycheck every Friday or every 2 weeks or once a month, however you get your paycheck, and you look at it, and the first thing comes to your mind, President lied. They ain't gonna be so. They ain't supposed to be no. They ain't supposed to tax my overtime. You got a problem, dude. You got a serious problem. Cause your paycheck don't come from Washington. Your paycheck comes from your central office of your, if your company is based in Thailand. Well, Thailand, your company has a local branch, a local HR office. That's where you need to go. You need to go to your local HR office and start there. It will be explained on a company level, and from that you can pretty much get a basic understanding. Okay, well, my overtime was taxed. Who taxed it? Was it the city? Was it the county? Was it the state? Because President Trump said on the federal level, we ain't getting taxed on overtime. Basically, where you need to start. Go to your HR, find out, get a little bit of information. Lord Jesus Christ. Listen, I said I wasn't going to refer to anybody as dummies, stupid. Well, some people need that label, but on this situation, it was just basic ignorance. This guy's just ignorant to the fact he don't know basic civics, basic economics, and that's it. And it was what, 4 or 5 females and three males well, with him 4 males, but 3 males trying. Well, a lot of people stayed quiet because I'm gonna be honest with you, they probably didn't know themselves. Only 3 people talked. You know what? I'm just not thinking about it. Only 3 people commented and was trying to tell this guy, pull stuff up, put it on the screen so he could try to understand it. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of the other 8 people, only 3 talked. Those other 5, I bet you $1 million, they had no idea. They had no idea basic civics themselves, and that's a problem. I'm gonna bring that up next Zoom we have, because I promise you, when other things are talked about, other conversations, they get on Grok, they get on Chat GBT and the other forms of AI, and they do a deep dive. They do a deep dive. But when it comes to basically enriching yourself with information, they don't bother. They don't bother to do a deep dive, to learn something new every day. And that's what I strive to do, to learn something new every day. Anyway, I hope I didn't bore you guys. Hope you got something out of it. It just bothered me. It just bothered me. But like the episode of Bonanza I watched last night, look to the stars, man. Look to the stars and you thank God Almighty that you're here, you're living, you're breathing, because He is the most important thing to mankind. And I sure thank Him for everything He's given me, my family that are not here anymore, that are still here, and those to come. I appreciate you guys and I love you. And as always, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the number 3 podcast is always here. I love you, and I'll catch you next time.